The definition of a terrorist is someone who uses violence for political purpose. But why is it that some terrorists are somewhere in hiding and others are just allowed to go along their business? In 1969, Qaddafi took over Libya and has been the ruler ever since. Today he is one of the longest national leaders still serving. Should a terrorist be allowed to rule countries and go on about their business? There are several things that Qaddafi has been accused of and has even taken credit for. He's been described as strange, eccentric, and ruthless, but none of these words truly describe the acts of violence that he has committed and been responsible for. Shortly after taking control of Libya, he ordered out of Libya an entire race of people, the Italians. He's also been in support of and financially supported the rebel movements of West Africa, and he's also supported the terrorist group who was responsible for the kidnapping and murdering of Israeli athletes at the 1972 Olympics. But his acts of violence don't stop there. He's also been involved in several bombings. The 1986 Berlin bombing was a Libyan attack on the Labelle nightclub in West Berlin, Germany. This is a discotheque that was known to be frequented by U.S. service people. One Turkish woman was killed and 3 U.S. servicemen. Also, 230 people were injured, including more than 50 Americans. The Lockerbie bombing in 1988, Flight 103 from London's Heathrow Airport to New York's JFK International Airport. 270 people were killed total. Flight 772 bombing, September 19, 1989. All 156 passengers and 14 crew members died. Gaddafi's reign of terror doesn't stop only against or only toward other countries. He's also taken the lives of several of his own citizens. And in 1996, he's been accused of one of the largest massacres known in history. In Libya, there is no right of free speech. So if you do decide to speak against Qaddafi or his politics, then you most certainly face the consequences of going to jail. Imagine what it would be like to not be able to have an opinion and to have to face prison for that. At Abu Salim prison, there were 1,600 to 1,700 prisoners for 112 cells. They were extremely crowded. Prisoners were denied family visitation, medical care, clean clothes, or fair trials. Many prisoners being held in this prison were held without trial and also held after their sentences were supposedly finished. Some of the prisoners did request some better living conditions, and as a result of this, the prisoners were lined up and shot execution style. There was an estimated 1,200 people killed on this day. Their bodies were thrown into trenches and mass graves, and the families of the victims were kept unknowing and silent suffering. The guards of the prison were under strict orders by Gaddafi, and if they did not follow their orders, they too would be killed. Detainees were forced to live in unthinkable conditions with overflowing sewage, garbage that was not collected. They were forced to eat food that was not fit for any human. They were also subjected to daily beatings and torture. So as a result of all this, and most of these prisoners at this prison, their only crime was to speak against the government. And for this, for asking for better living conditions, this is what they got. These acts of violence don't stop at violence against other countries and even violence against his own people. But he's also been known or been suspected of violence against children. These are some of the victims of Qaddafi's violence. In 1998, 5 Bulgarian nurses and 1 Palestinian doctor were accused and arrested, and they were accused of injecting more than 400 children with HIV. Many people suspect that Qaddafi was behind this, was actually the one behind this. These 6 people, after this happened, this was investigated by several world organizations, including the UN and the World Health Organization, who all agreed that these people were not guilty of this crime. But Mr. Qaddafi kept them in prison for over 7 years. They were tortured by electrocution they were tortured until they gave confessions, and they were sentenced to death twice. Finally, in 1998, they were extradited to Bulgaria, where their sentences were commuted. But Qaddafi, there is speculation that Qaddafi used the HIV as a source to find a vaccine for the virus, and hopefully, or his thought was that he would be considered for a Nobel Peace Prize for this. I have my own conclusions about why this is allowed to happen, and I think that it has something to do with oil. Oil reserves in Libya are the largest in Africa and the 9th largest in the world. And I ask you, is this the true price of oil? This is not the price that I'm willing to pay. Qaddafi must be brought to an international court of justice. Thank you.
Thank you.